Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Hog Talk podcast, presented to you by Vision Exteriors, coming to you live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are coming to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes. Alongside me is Adam Hall. On tonight's show, we will talk about Arkansas's 93-68 win over Vanderbilt. We'll talk about professional players overseas coming back to the college ranks and Josh Pate's fix to the college football window. To start things off, you texted me right before the lineup and said that they're listening. I think they're tuning in weekly because they changed the lineup and put Malik Thomas in, started, and hot start. What do you know? You change things up. And I think part of it too is, Adam, when we were talking about Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff immediately, you could tell he was a star. He was already asserting himself in the starting lineup. He was already asserting himself as a leader. And it might have taken Malik Thomas a little bit more time. You get comfortable in that 6-man role, come off the bench and score. But then again, I told you a couple weeks ago, we started seeing the production decline a little bit. So maybe he was itching to get in the starting lineup. You start him, and man, just a beatdown. Never trailed in the game. The only held Vanderbilt to a 6-0 run, and that was with 2 minutes left in the first half. So, I mean, very solid performance by the Razorbacks.
Sometimes, when things get a little stagnant, like we talked about, you just have to switch things up a little bit. Sometimes it may not work out, may not be permanent. I think this is one that, could end up being permanent. And I think you go back and look at, hey, do we need to start Ewan over Pringle just to change another dynamic? It was a great game overall. It was the game that they needed. It was the game that we weren't too sure if they were going to be able to do it with Vanderbilt, being 16-2 at the time, number 15 team. You didn't necessarily know what you were going to get with Vanderbilt, but kind of like we talked about also, this was an untested Vanderbilt team who is now struggling in the SEC. So yeah. I think that this was, they're little, I'm not going to call it a Cinderella story, but it was good for them starting off the season 16-0. There's a lot of talk around them, got up to number 10 ranking. But they're not the team that everybody thought they could be, being 16-0. And I just go back to, like we've said, y'all hadn't played anybody yet.
Yeah.
So, now they're struggling. They're not a good offensive rebounding team. So you get them to miss, you get the rebound the majority of the time. Looking at it, it really, I was more shocked at Arkansas only shooting 12 free throws. Malik Ewan was 6 out of 8. Darius Acuff didn't shoot free throws. Mike Thomas didn't shoot free throws. So, things like that, I was just kind of like, are we settling for jump shots for not attacking the rim? I know Coach Cal ended up sitting Darius Acuff at one point, tried to light a fire on him, and it worked. I'll play that clip right quick. And this is about him moving Malik into the starting lineup and Darius Acuff during the game.
Malik's getting better, but we need more motor from him. More toughness from him, but he's way better. I kind of like Malik Thomas starting. I thought it was pretty good for him, too. And I took Darius out in the second because he was going through the motions of playing. Well, then you're not playing. I don't care who you are. You're going to sit and watch the game now. And then he went in, he was mad at me, and he played well because he was mad at me. And he thought I was like, yeah, he won't like. No, I love it. Be mad at me all the time. Just play like that. My point to him is, instead of just worrying about being a really good player, how about be the best player in the country?
Exactly.
That quote.
I love that.
All. Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot more to it, the presser, but his whole opening statement was gold. And that's what you want from a head coach, and especially a head coach. And to be honest, yes, Darius Acuff is great, and he's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's going to be an NBA player. But when you look across from you and you got John Calipari and all the NBA guys, you're you're just another NBA player. Like, he's dealt with this before. You're not his golden ticket to get somebody to produce to the NBA. Like, he's been here, done that. And for him to set the tone in a win. So think about this. You won and you're chewing him like that. This ain't coming after a 20-point loss. They're already upset after a loss, and then you just kick them while they're down. This is, you're up. I'm going to take you out. If you're not playing, and he had made another comment about a bag. Don't worry about the bag. Go over there and score. And the biggest key too, they 25 assists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're talking about the free throw discrepancy, but when you're sharing the ball a lot more, you're getting open shots. Therefore, you're not dribble, drive to the basket, get fouled, making erratic passes, or not sharing the ball, and everybody's just going to the basket and laying it up. This could be a turning point in the season. I know Vanderbilt hasn't played anybody. I was looking at their schedule. I mean, Wake Forest. I mean, they played St. Mary's, which is, they're decent. They give Gonzaga a run all the time. You know, they play good in that conference. But I mean, Memphis, St. Mary's is it. Outside that, you're playing Lipscomb and Eastern Kentucky and VCU, SMU. Yeah, they have not been tested, but you can't not take away from what Arkansas did, because they're doing what they're supposed to these teams. They're not letting them hang around like they have been in the past, and you're blowing teams out. And we made it a point. They need to get on fire. They need to go 2-0 this week. And this was a very, very good start to, you know, what now welcoming in LSU, depending on this weather situation that we'll be closely monitoring tomorrow. Hopefully they get here on time. They come in tomorrow and they're ready to play, but you still have a game on Saturday. That's another factor. What's the fan situation going to be like? What's your situation going to be like with this weather? And then you got to play a game on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night.
You know, I kind of expect the game to be moved up. Hopefully LSU gets there tomorrow on time. We'll see what happens. If LSU gets to town just fine, I mean, I feel like they're going to play the game. So obviously they're talking about Fort Smith, Northwest Arkansas. I think I've seen as early as 4 p.m. tomorrow when stuff starts moving in. If it's something that, like, you're not going to have much of a turnout, and they talked about this on halftime today on ESPN Arkansas, like, let the students into the game for free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's better off to just, you know, let however many few thousand students that would show up, let them show up. Let them come in. Let them walk a mile and a half to Bud Walton Arena and let them have a time. I mean, it'd be much better than the, you know, few hundred people that might show up still whenever that game's played, depending on what happens. But, you know, it's LSU. We played them kind of up and down sometimes, I feel like. We've seen multiple times in years past when there's a game at Bud Walton Arena and the weather kind of threw things off, not as many fans show up. The games are always kind of funky, even when Arkansas is, you know, ranked or expected to win highly. So I'm kind of leery in that sense of just how games have gone in the past whenever the weather throws things off. But in my opinion, there's no reason for concern against playing LSU. I know that LSU's played a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but this is a game they should control from start to finish. Going back to the Vanderbilt game, you know, we talk about adjustments in football a lot. We've talked about them a little bit with basketball. But, you know, one thing that they did first half, Tyler Nickel for Vanderbilt scored all 17 of his points just in the first half. You know, they came out in the second half, made adjustments, and that's something that they have to do. If you've got a guy that's on fire, you've got to figure out how to shut him down, because we've seen games before with Michi, whatever his last name was, for South Carolina. I mean, he had 29 that game. So if somebody's got a hot hand, you've got to be able to shut them down.
Well, you go back to the Ole Miss game. You know, they had that in the bag, and you're talking. I mean, correlate that to learning from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You should have that Ole Miss game put away. You let their top guy, name slipping me, but he gets hot. All of a sudden, it's a close game, and when you had to escape to win. So yeah, you make your adjustments, you get things, but no, you just look at, they're so talented. I mean, you know that you can switch things up. You can start Malik Thomas. You can get I mean, you had 6 guys in double digit scoring.
Mhm.
I mean, Trevor Brazile come back with, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 14 rebounds. Maybe this is something when Coach Cal was like, look, guys, we need a lot of fire. And now everybody responds, not
Mhm.
just 1 or 2 people, because they got to know their potential. And it goes back to what we clipped up, and we're talking about the expectations of this team. And, when we put it out there, I was kind of surprised at some of the reactions of, do fans want to hear what they really think? Because when you preach or you talk about expectations or the team needs to do this, they fire back like, oh, you need to give him patience. And this one, that was after a loss
Yeah.
that we made that comment. And two, but we're speaking what everybody would be saying if they would go on a 2-3 game losing streak, or if they're shooting 500, floating 500 into the SEC season, going into the SEC tournament. That's what we would be saying. So why not say it now? Because the expectations are higher for this team. And especially when you see the production of Carter Knox, Trevor Brazile, Thomas Acuff, you and Wagner had 11. I mean, all these guys firing on all cylinders. I mean, if you have Pringle scored, you'd had 7 guys in double digit scoring. So they're there. And you playing defense and you held them to 68 points. That's good, no matter what team you're talking about in the SEC. So you get your defense going. I 9 of 22 from the 3. I mean, that's good. I would like to see a little bit higher if you're going to shoot that many threes. But other than that, you cannot be mad at their performance, but you just want to make sure they continue on. And a thing with LSU, yeah, you look at their record, they're 1-5 in the SEC, but you go back to that Kentucky game where it took a game winner to win that. Yeah, you can't look at, they got beat by Vanderbilt by 11, and they're coming off an 18-point loss to Florida. So anything goes, especially like you said with the climate, the fans. Where's Arkansas's headspace at, knowing Kentucky's coming up? All that. So I'm with you. Just open it up. Let the fans come in. Let them come in and see this game, because again, and I would just open it up.
Mhm.
Why not just let anybody? If you can walk there, by God, that's showing support.
Mhm.
Open it up. Let these people come watch this game, because it's not going to be third capacity. Probably, I would say if you held it to who just came, student section tickets, and I would expect 4,000 or 5,000 there because of the weather. Because you're thinking it's going to hit tomorrow night, and then we're talking about Saturday night at 7:30. There ain't nothing. Nobody going to be walking around Fayetteville as hilly as that place is.
No. And I mean, that's the thing too, is you say, okay, you don't open it up, you just leave it how it is, and you have 1,000, 2,000 people show up. Okay. Let's say you open the doors and just let first come, first serve, you get 5,000, 6,000 people in.
Mhm.
You have concessions open, but limited concessions. Like, you're still going to make some money there. It's not like you'd make more doing that than you would only at that 1 to 2,000 people showing up, if that. So, well, we'll see what they do. I have a feeling that they're, not going to do that, but it wouldn't hurt anything to do it. One time in your life, do something for the fans. That's all we're asking for.
And if you're not able to make the game, again, 7:30, unless they change up the schedule, they move things up, but it will be shown on the SEC network. I know they've had snow games before. It's funny. I can't remember. Clemson was playing in Fayetteville, and I was going to go to the game, and it was an ice game, and it was not able to go. But so they've had these situations before. So 7:30 SEC network. Arkansas LSU tip off, and we want this to continue rolling, and we'll switch over to staying with college basketball. But Alabama, I don't know what the deal is with this guy, and how many people are. It's funny how you defend it and you die on the hill when it's your school. But if this was any other school doing it, letting this guy, knowing he's been in the NBA, and because he hasn't played a regular season game, we're letting these players come back. I do not understand this. And you can't sit there and Nate Oates, everybody's calling him out. You can't sit there and say 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that we're ruining the integrity of high school basketball and recruits, and then you pull this. I don't know. I don't see how they're getting, and the judge being a booster or whatever, and then people are like, well, he's doing nothing wrong. I mean, yeah, technically, but come on. You don't think he's getting some kind of kickback or he didn't get any kind of influence. That's what's ruining the integrity of the game is these adults that are trying to make money off of this. And it's not paying a player for his name, image, and likeness. You're sitting there trying to loophole your way around winning, and you're doing it, albeit for a guy who in 2022 averaged 6.4 points a game and 6 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And because the reason why this worries me so much is where's this going to be in a year? Where's this going to be next season? You're opening the floodgates of just letting anybody who's to say, well, you're not under an NBA contract anymore. You've got eligibility. Come back and play. I don't know.
It's absolutely falling off the rails. The major gripe is still always going to be college football because football is king and everything that goes on with NIL, transfer portal, etc. But the NCAA has got to figure something out. Like when is the NCAA going to man up and say enough is enough?
Yep.
Because I mean, this is getting to be worse than I know. And I actually looked up Moses Kingsley. And he played 4 years at Arkansas. So that was the first game I went to when I was at work. I went back through, I think, the last 8 or 9 years worth of rosters, and most of those guys, there wasn't much left. I mean, unless you wanted to go with a potentially, I think Chris likes, or no, he may have used all his, but Keon Minifield's been looked at by a handful of schools.
Yes.
He played 2 years and then went to the transfer portal, and it didn't end up anywhere. And he's been in whatever BS pro leagues. So it's ridiculous. And if you notice, a lot of these that we're seeing their names pop up, or they're getting signed, or they're being looked, they're all international players outside of the Minifield one. They're players that didn't play, hadn't actually either, played or signed their NBA contract. They went over and played Euroball, except for this guy has signed a 2-way contract with the San Antonio Spurs. He signed it. So you're not eligible anymore. That's how the rules have always been. You are no longer eligible once you sign your pro contract. But then here we are. And it's absolutely ridiculous. This guy's going to get a 10-day window, essentially, because it's going to be ruled on Tuesday, I believe. So what is he going to suit up this weekend against Tennessee?
They're expecting him. I mean, from what again, when you look at a story now, I don't have the time to really fact check a story anymore, but you have to. But from what I'm seeing, they're going to try to play him.
Then you know what? If they play him this weekend and then it's ruled that he can't play at that hearing on Tuesday, then guess what? Since he played in this and he's ineligible to play due to the actual rules, guess what? Alabama, you're not playing in the NCAA tournament. Point blank, period. I know it's not going to work.
That's the thing. What are you really getting out of this? And this is the thing, again, where it goes to, I'm griping now before it becomes a big problem, because if you don't say anything now, what's going to happen? Because you look at Bronny James. He goes to the G League and averages 28 points a game, and then he's barely getting the court time on the NBA. Or Mac McClung. You're going to the NBA and you're averaging 25 points a game. What happens when you start getting these elite players that are elite G League players that have never played, that are averaging 20, 25 points a game, and they're coming in and they're making immediate impacts to college basketball? And the downside of that is you're talking about international players. There's a coach that, you know what, they didn't have the NIL. Mike Neighbors did it. He didn't have the NIL help, so he went and got overseas players because the NIL structure is different. It's different for international players. Now, I don't know if that's changed in the last couple of years, but I know that's why he did it, because he wasn't getting any financial help. So he was having to go where he could. So he was going to Australia. He was going to Spain. You're seeing a lot of these international players coming playing in women's basketball because they don't have to give them the money that you have to give the American players and the players that are in high school or coming from another SEC school. It's bottling down, and you're seeing some of these guys. I don't know what the Baylor player, how he's doing, his production, but if they're not doing well, you're still taking a spot from someone else. You're going to end up ruining high school athletics if you keep going down this road, because they're already the amount of spaces for a high school kid in basketball is already slim because you're going through the portal. If you start doing this and portal, you might get one guy, a signing class, or two if it's just that big in a signing class, and that's it.
None of these, I mean, of course, it's still early, so we don't know how it's going to ultimately end. But it's like I don't see any of these guys that they're talking about coming to the NCAA or that they've already signed to teams or whatever. I don't see any one of these players becoming some dominant figure for whatever team they're going to. I feel like it's a complete waste of time for these teams and a complete waste of time for the NCAA to even have to deal with it. And a lot of this boils down to, sorry for you that you couldn't make it in the NBA or to get drafted, or with this guy in particular with the two-way contract with the Spurs. Go overseas, go to whatever other professional league you want to go to, but find another job. Maybe you should have graduated college, use your degree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just to this point that maybe basketball's not in your future, but this right here is muddying up the NCAA even more than it already is. And quite frankly, it's putting me to a point like, yes, I'm still going to watch Arkansas games. Yes, we're still going to do the show and talk about these things. But it's like, I've already lost a lot of respect for the NCAA. But stuff like this is pushing me to care more about professional sports just because at least they have rules in place. At least they put their foot down. And the NCAA is just like, well, we got sued, so we're going to let them do this.
Yeah.
Screw that. Like, I'm sick of it.
That's the thing. They don't care because it's all about money to them. They're salty. The NCAA is salty because players are getting paid now. So their thing is, what can we do to generate revenue? What can we do to get our money back? That's the only thing they're worried about. Why do you think in football they're wanting these expansions to the playoffs? Why do you think they're wanting these super conferences and these big time TV contracts? Because it's about them. Why do you think they're allowing these collectives? Because they're getting kickbacks from that. It's all about them growing their business, and they're being greedy. And then you got Nate Oates. Like, I mean, do we need to bring back up the Brandon Miller situation?
Mhm.
I mean, it's one of them things that, yeah, we know the circumstances, but you still let this person play. You still let all this stuff go down when the circumstances happened. So it doesn't surprise me that he's doing this, and to see the Alabama fans and these lawyers come in and miss me. I mean, because I don't trust, and that's what I was saying. I don't trust anything anyone does or says when it comes to this about being high and mighty, or now you want to be the moral police, or now you want to talk about technicalities, because we know it's all BS. We all know it's a money grab. And it's just making things worse that you're allowing people to go to 7 different schools, or you're denying somebody a 5th or 6th year, but you're allowing this. Like you said, if you're going to let everybody do it, let everybody do it. Cool. At least we know what the rules are, what kind of players you can get. But when we can know, and the biggest thing that's crazy about this, Adam, is we're in the 2nd semester. This isn't like we're talking about this in the off season. We're playing games. We're halfway through the season, and you're allowing this. There was a football player at Clemson that Ole Miss got. He had enrolled in Clemson. He was taking classes, and he was performing in off-season workouts. Now he has already left, and he's at Ole Miss now. That's where the muddiness gets, is like, even though you're still committed to this school and you're going to this school, you still have this slimy agent still trying to, behind the scenes, get more money for you, because guess what? That means more money for him.
It's crazy. Like the NCAA, everything obviously is all about money, or we got to make more money. We got to this, we got to that. And I just pulled up what the NCAA made over fiscal year 2024. $1.4 billion, which was a record for the NCAA with $166 million surplus.
Yeah.
And that's not enough. And I know we're seeing this across the board with other corporations and pharmaceuticals, insurance companies, et cetera. But it's like, when is enough enough?
It never will.
I mean,
it's a sad truth, because guess what? These big corporations are going to find out ways to write off losses. They're going to be in full control of some of these athletic programs. And if they fail, it's a write-off. It's a loss for their company. That's where we're headed. And yeah, we're going to have to get a grasp on it. And yes, it's fun when, like college football, we're seeing the good things of it. I still think the good outweighs the bad when it comes to this NIL, but to some point you're like, okay, enough is enough. And when is that? Is it going to be too late? Is it going to be where the flame is out and you're losing a majority of their fan base that strictly loves college for college, and they're just over it? Kind of like what you were saying with, you love pro, and college is leaning more towards pro. But when you start losing that core fan base that loves college athletics, and it's more than just paying players for their name, image, and likeness, and you're just throwing money at them whether they sit on the bench or not, or they're not doing anything. Carson Beck graduated 2 years ago. How long has it been since he's seen a college classroom? But yet you're in Miami going and playing football. That's where the whole thing gets fishy. And that's where I think it's going to this farm system. Ty brought up this G League has become a developmental league for NCAA. It probably is, because guess what? If it become a farm system, kind of like I was talking about the layers and the tiers of college football, what if the G League is a tier below the NCAA?
I mean, before, like we've talked about, like kind of the NCAA and the NBA, I was kind of to the point of take away the one and dones. Let these guys jump or try to go to the draft if they want to straight out of high school, just to eliminate some of the one and dones. Or because I think we talked about this right after, like at first, Darren Peterson wasn't going to play anymore for Kansas, which he's still playing, so it ended up not happening, whatever. But these players, so they don't just come collect a bag and then opt out for the rest of the season or whatever. Now I'm to the point that what would it matter if they jumped straight to the NBA and then ended up signing a two-way or whatever else? Well, I don't really want to do that. It didn't work out in my favor, so now I'm going to go back to college. I just don't agree with this stuff. I mean, we're kind of opening things up to, like, when the MLB, in my opinion, wastes draft picks on drafting a high schooler that they're never going to see.
Yep.
And do it just because. Like, I feel like that's essentially kind of like what's happening. Okay, you draft this guy and he doesn't report or he doesn't sign his deal. And so I'm just going to re-enter the draft next year or the year after. It's just like, when is it too much for the NCAA?
You brought it up. I mean, you're talking about baseball. I mean, we're just talking about basketball right now. What happens if a player foregoes his senior in football, doesn't ever make the 53-man roster? He didn't make a roster. He didn't play in a regular season football game, so he gets to come back and finish his senior year at another school, or if he gets into the baseball. I mean, he gets drafted. He goes and plays AAA ball, but he's never played for the Red Sox. So he gets to come back and finish his year or 2 or 4 years in that sense. I mean, it just opens up a big can of worms that everything's overwhelming right now, because, we're seeing it in spots. We're seeing it happen during football season. Now we're seeing it in basketball with the mixture because of the transfer portal, college football just now being over with. But if we're dealing with this 24/7, 365 in all 3 major sports, it's going to be so hard to keep up with everything going on, because they're going to need 2 GMs per school or a GM per sport in these schools to keep up with everything.
Well, and what's going on in basketball too, it's like you're giving ideas, because obviously most of lawsuits in the NCAA have came from football. So I feel like that now what's happening with basketball, you're opening up a door for the football athletes and these lawyers trying to find loopholes, trying to find ways around it.
Mhm.
That, hey, like I'm going to go ahead and enter my name in the draft. I don't get drafted, but I get, so this team decides to pick me up as a undrafted free agent. Well, I don't really like that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to college for my year or two. I mean, that's what we're essentially, they're showing the football players, hey, if you don't like where you get drafted or you don't get drafted, don't sign and then go back to college.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's almost a thing kind of like with the Texas A&M player within the Bengals. He got drafted in the first round, but he didn't want to sign his deal because of some verbiage in it and whatnot. And it was just like, oh, I'm just going to go back to Texas A&M. Well, and that ended up not happening. They came to a deal, but we're just reaching this point that it's just like, why can we not just tell these players, no, that's not the rules. We have rules for a reason. Stop being afraid of these lawsuits, because point blank period, if you have these bylaws that are established and they're legitimate, hey, guess what? We gave you a little bit or a lot of it by the NIL and letting you get paid. That's where it stops.
Mhm.
Because now you've opened up Pandora's box in this world, and it's just going to keep on getting worse and worse until they go toe to toe with one of these lawsuits and win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what's going to happen. And that's a scary thing. We don't know what we're talking. I mean, it seems like everything we've predicted or not predicted or talked about, it's happened and we're already past that point. I mean, it's crazy how fast all this is going. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, hear a word from our sponsor over at Vision Exteriors. When we come back, we'll jump into the college football national championship game. Indiana, your national champions. And Josh Pate has an idea of how to fix things and a few tweaks we have on that right after the break.
Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality.
And welcome back to the Hog Talk Podcast. Second segment, we're going to jump off into college football. Of course, on Monday night, we watched the national championship game. Great game. Came down to the last minute. Indiana is your national champions. And out of it was funny to see everybody pointing out at, we're talking about this NIL stuff and people going pro and coming back, but I don't know what will change because of this. Now Big Ten has 3 straight national champions. SEC has not won a national championship since the NIL transfer portal stuff. We're 3 years in. Big Ten's, I don't think they're liking it at all, but it's funny how you look at these people that are welcoming in the Baylor player. They're welcoming in this Alabama player. But yet that you go to the Indiana and their football team and they're 24, 25 years old. And they're like, well, that's not fair because they're a bunch of old guys and they beat up on 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. That's not the way it is anymore. And I know, Carson Beck, what, his 7th or 8th year and, come down to that final throw. But look, they're learning how to do things the right way. And yeah, they're picking up 5th-year guys and they're picking up grown men because, listen, the SEC and football made it a grown man sport. Now that the Big Ten and the ACC is coming in, they're developing their teams. Certain programs aren't stockpiling their programs anymore. You're going to see more of that. And that's where I like it because anybody has a chance anymore. That's what makes it. And Josh Pate was talking about, making it to where you move the regular season back a week and you start on Thanksgiving with your conference championship and some bowl games. And then you start the 12-team playoff, and then you have the national championship on January 1st, which I think is brilliant. I think you having the national championship on January 1st and then you can get everything done and over with by the time the second semester starts at school. The only thing I would change is he was talking about having these extra games, a week 13 games. I think you come into this where you, instead of doing the Power Five or whatever automatic bids,
Mhm.
you have a list of games. These games that teams are on the fringe, and you play. Say James Madison plays. Let's just throw it out there, Notre Dame, or you have Tulane. It's almost a play-in game. Look, we're going to let you play in for a chance to get to the college football playoff, but you got to earn it. You got to play somebody worthy of. If you beat them, then you could be eligible for the 12-team playoff.
They've got to do something. It starts with the calendar. So I'm all about moving it up and transplanted. They haven't made a decision yet or a statement on Saturday games. I'd expect tomorrow to get some kind of notice, kind of like with, I think, gymnastics tomorrow got moved up, and we found that out today. So I would bet tomorrow we'll hear something about Saturday games. No, I mean, this is, I feel like Indiana's laid a different blueprint than NIL, than buying your roster. They're going after the older players. So it's, we knew that the playing field was going to be leveled out some. It was just a matter of how was that going to look. I don't think that the Big Ten, I feel like, is not the better conference in the sense of more balanced, because I feel like the bottom of the Big Ten is pretty awful.
Yeah.
It's just the
powers
SEC.
that be.
Yeah. The SEC doesn't have the heavy hitters that they've had in years past. So I think it's leveled out some there. I think all in all, kind of like we talked about with March Madness last year, we're just getting better product because you're, like we said, leveling things out. You're not having guys go to an Alabama or a Georgia or a Texas and sit for 2 to 3 years waiting their turn. These guys want to go and play now. So Signetti's, hey, come here. But, he brought a lot of guys from JMU to Indiana with him. So I think he's got his own blueprint. You're going to see teams try to do that versus the NIL route. But, how's this going to look for Indiana? Okay, you won this. Signetti has his own blueprint with the older players. Hey, but now we're going to throw in Mark Cuban's donation to the NIL for the transfer portal for Indiana. So is Signetti's going to get to add another element to whatever plan he has? Do I think that he's created a juggernaut? I don't. But at the same time, he's shown that it can be done. You just got to find the right coach. So I feel like he was going to do this no matter where he went. And hey, guess what? He got to go to Indiana because there were no expectations. You go to a top school that's won it before or been relevant or whatever else, you kind of have more pressure. If he were to go to an Auburn or an Alabama or hell, even Arkansas at that point, and you don't have the success that was expected, they're going to boot you after 3 to 6 years.
Yep.
At Indiana, it's just like, hey, get us relevant. Let us have winning seasons. Get to some bowl games, sniff the playoff. I highly doubt that they had any idea that year 2 they'd be winning the national title for the first time ever. So it's a different blueprint, but it worked. I feel like there's going to be a lot of teams that try to copy it and not have success because ultimately it comes down to the coach. Yeah, you can take this and run with it or try to, but your coach makes or breaks this.
Well, and also you do it in a school like Indiana. If this thing falls apart 2-3 years, you're not at a place like, let's say Arkansas, where if Arkansas won a national championship and this fell off, how would the fans react? Would they be okay with that national championship? At Indiana, they're already building the statue for it. They're already putting 16-0 up. So if this thing falls off in 2 or 3 years, like, man, it was a great run. It's one of them that, okay, we're good with what we have. we're okay with the fact that we won. We're not relevant again, but you know what? We did something that no one thought that we could do. And I think that's good enough for them. I think that's why it's very selective on where this is going to happen. There's going to be everybody's going to try to do it. Everybody's going to try to copycat this, but you know what? That's where you said the coaching, because it is, yeah, we're going to have this bag, but you're still going to have to play things. You're going to have to do things my way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not down for that, kick rocks. Because guess what? If I go win a national championship with no stars, you mean nothing to me. I will win this my way because I've done it. And because you look at Ohio State, they won the national championship and then flamed out. Texas Tech spent all this money and flamed out. It is so hard now. We're not going to see dynasties anymore. It's going to be more so like a pro level. If you win back-to-backs, you're considered a dynasty because it is that hard to play 9-game conference schedule, then play 3 or 4 game, playoff. So if you win a national championship, it's hard. And so see, that just what makes Indiana winning it more impressive, going 16-0 in the landscape of everybody's paying players now. They didn't need the 5 stars. But it's going to be harder because, like we said, you have that chip on your shoulder to get to the top. Let's see where they're at next year. And if they do it again next year, that's what's saying, okay, this can be a staying power idea, and see how many people fall in line with that and see how that affects recruiting. Because now people are not going to go for the freshman. They're not going to throw bags at a 5-star freshman. They're going to go get the 23-year-old kid, and they're going to build a semi-pro football team.
I don't expect the NCAA and college football to fix the college football calendar, because we can't expect them to do anything that's logical.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing that, like what we were just talking about in the first segment with the basketball and the players that have played in the G League and whatever else. I mean, we've seen this with giving players 7, 8, 9 years of eligibility in college football. I mean,
yeah,
I can't expect them to fix the calendar when they can't even go by the rules that have already been in place for a number of years. So ultimately, I mean, the NCAA is going to continue to make billions of dollars, and they're going to keep figuring out ways to screw all this up. And unfortunately, we're still going to sit and watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we watch our teams because we're so attached to them.
It's going to come to the point to where they're not going to worry about it because of exactly what you just said. They can, I mean, because the next 4 national championships are the 20th or later. As long as they're bringing money in and they're making $1 billion a year and $160 million surplus, they don't care. They're going to do what keeps making them money. And until it starts affecting their money, I keep on saying that because I bring up the reference of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. As long as they're making money and they're having $160 million surplus and they're still running a success business, they're not going to worry about the bottom dollar. They're not going to worry about what the consumer wants until it starts affecting their pocketbook.
Mm-hmm. So, and I believe the Big Ten plays non-conference games.
Yes. Big Ten, and then the ACC's trying, and they're ignorant too because they're like, everybody, and this is another thing it's coming into with the super conferences. ACC is going to a 9-game schedule, but not everybody is playing a 9-game because they have too many teams to make it feasible for everybody to play a 9-game SEC schedule or
ACC.
Conference schedule. Sorry, yeah, ACC schedule, because I know Clemson next year is still playing 8 because not everybody. So you're going to get into that. Well, all your conference is playing 8 or 9 games, but you have some of the select few that are playing 8, and you're going to run into that.
You know, and it was crazy. This is going back to basketball, but after the Arkansas game Tuesday night, I would have hated to have been a Purdue fan because they were playing UCLA at 11 o'clock Eastern time zone. Like, I have a hard enough time sitting through a game that starts at 8 o'clock. You're starting a game at 11 o'clock, and that just goes to the ridiculousness of the Big Ten and their layout. Hey, I have a brilliant idea. You take these West Coast teams There's 12 of them or so. You create a conference called the Pac-12. You find them a
you're onto
TV
something.
deal, and you stop this nonsense because it is ridiculous. And I get it; they're in West Coast time, but I mean that is insane to ask your fan base to watch a game that starts at 11 p.m. your time. So college athletics as a whole is in a complete crapshoot right now, but nothing matters. Nothing has to make sense anymore.
Yeah.
And no, not all our conferences are equal in talent, competition, schedule. I mean, it's
No.
it,
And that's
it's
why they shouldn't give out automatic bids just because you won the conference championship, because it's not equal. And you go into the thing where I think instead of, everybody's wanting to do the 16 team playoff, I mean, keep it at 12 and you have the 4 teams fight for it. Have teams that are on the fringe. If you're fighting over who's 10 through 14 and you've got 3 or 4 spots left or 2 spots left, you have 2 games, 4 teams, include those P5 guaranteed bids that get the play-in game. And then the ones that are at 10 or 11 or whatever, you fight for it. And there's your 12 teams, but you rank them 1 through 12 and that's your playoff.
Yeah.
So that would be my only tweak. Everything Josh Pate said, if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. I think it's about 3 minutes long on what he had, his thoughts on the window and the transfer portal, all that. It's a very good listen. And that's just my only thing I would tweak about it is because you're still going to run into the thing until you don't give out these automatic bids. You're still going to have what you had this year. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a Troy, or you're going to have another James Madison, or you're going to have a Tulane. And then guess what? Their coach is going to be gone. And now they're decimated because the transfer portal, and a team that already didn't have a chance has no chance because their coach is gone. And you're throwing them up against Ole Miss or Oregon. And then guess what? Both of those teams flamed out. So
doing things that make sense is just not the way the NCAA operates.
No. That is the mantra of the NCAA.
Yeah. I'll put it on a shirt.
Yeah. Well, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
Nope. I hope everybody got their groceries before the snow kicks in.
Yes. I love Walmart pickup. I don't have to go in and deal with the madness. But before we go, I do have a cool announcement. Our friends at Arkansas Brewing Company have collabed with us. We have our own drink, Adam. I don't know if you're much of an old-fashioned type of person, but we have a drink at Arkansas Brewing Company in Ozark. It is called the Hog Wash, featuring Whistle Pig bourbon. So I want to give a shout out to all the staff down there at Arkansas Brewing Company in Ozark. If you're around Ozark, stop in, say hello, tell them you want the Hog Wash to drink. And after everything clears up, snow, ice, head on down there for some good food, music, and a Hog Wash drink to wash it down with. But
it'll definitely warm you up in the cold weather.
Oh yeah, I had it. I got to beta test it, and it was pretty stout. So, but everybody stay safe. It's going to be a long couple of days. Yes, there it is. There is the Hog Wash with the Whistle Pig Piggyback Bourbon Whiskey. Had it the other day, and it was very, very good. So, it's going to get icy. We're going to get snowed in. We're going to get ice. For those South Arkansas, East Arkansas that get ice, thoughts and prayers with you if you're dealing with the power outages and stuff. So check in on everybody, stay safe, and we will catch you on Monday. Don't forget, weather permitting, electrical issues, Hog HQ Live will be back on Sunday night at 8:05. But for Adam, I'm Porter, and we'll see you on Monday.